2 days in a row. Can you believe it? So today I am going to be making some applesauce. And I showed you guys yesterday, I think, my husband brought in that bushel of apples that I needed to work with. And since I'm stuck in the house again today, I thought, well, why don't I just go ahead and get started on it. But before I do that, let me just bring back over here and let you see what I worked on yesterday. Let me get this down. Okay, so yesterday I made raspberry jam, and you guys, if you were on yesterday, you got to see the whole process from start to finish. Well, this is the finish. So after you've let it sit for 12 to 24 hours, you want to tap the top to see if it has sealed properly. And it has, you know, it's nice and flat. It's sucked in. And I can lift the jar by holding the top. So all my jars sealed perfectly. So I am very excited about that. So now let me just move these out of the way because I don't want them in the way for today's project. So I'm just going to sit them over here on the table out of the way for now. And I tried to put everything that we would need for the applesauce here. So I am doing good, Rachel. I am doing good. You know, as you get a little older, you start to have a few little twinges here and there, but I'm doing good. And hey, Bathshua, glad you're here again. And hopefully you saw me show how the raspberry jam turned out. They all sealed just fine. And then I had all those apples that hubby brought home to work with, and I thought I would do those. Oh, but before I do that, I've already washed and prepped my jars, but I need to get them into the water bath. So let me turn the camera so you can see me do that. So I got the water bath going. And I started it heating up just so it wouldn't take quite so long. And then I've got these jars over here. So since this is a tall canner and, you know, I have to fill it with water, I can't fill it over there and bring it over here. So I have filled it with water. And then I also partially filled my jar. So now this may take up quite a bit of space. But since the water is starting to warm up a little bit, I don't want to just, well, I guess I could. It's not that heavy. So I could just set them down in there. So they're filled with water, which kind of helps to, and I don't have to worry about thermal shock because the water's not that hot yet. Oops, this one took forever. Let me set it up. Let me set that one down. And this particular pot will hold 7 pints. So I've got the jars in here. Here's my lid. So now I'm going to let my jars boil. Now, it's going to take 15 minutes worth of processing for the applesauce, so they don't have to be sterile, but they do have to be clean, and they do have to be hot because then we can get some thermal shock. So, got the jars in, and let me turn this heat down too. They don't need to be quite where I had them. So, and I've already washed my apples. However, I'll show you where they are. Right there. And you guys will notice I sit and I stand, and then I sit and I stand, because as I said, I've been having a little trouble here and there. And I'm going to put my lid in this container of water, and I'll put it on to warm when it's closer to time. But I wanted to try to be as prepared as possible and not have to worry about getting off camera a lot, because you guys know I try not to do that, but sometimes it just happens. So I got my bowl here, or my pot is right there, that I'm going to be using to put the apples in, because I got a lot of apples. So I've already washed them. Oh, best thing, I almost forgot this. So this little apple slicer is amazing. It's really good. And the good part is that I'm going to make smooth applesauce. So I don't have to peel them. I asked my husband yesterday, my sisters came by to check on me to see how I was doing. And I was doing okay. And now I'm putting the cores of the apples in a container over here, and I will save those to make apple jelly or something like that. But this will allow me to just slice them up, and then I will cut them into chunks. And I'll be using a food mill, which will remove the peels and all of that. So how you ladies doing today? Let's see. Bashu is here. Ann is here. Steamy morning. No, it's been raining here. It was thundering and lightning earlier. Oh, guys, guess what I'm trying to do? So, you guys, oh, that apple's not very good. Ugh. I'll put that over there. And these apples are soft. My husband said he asked for apples for cooking, but I have to wonder, just, you know, some of these are soft. There we go. So applesauce is what I'm making. So what do you guys like to make when you've got a bunch of apples? I made some chunky, I don't want to say applesauce, but they're pretty soft when I made, kind of like the Bob Evans apples that you get. Well, I made some of those this morning because I want to use them for pancakes and things like that. And then the peelings and the core you can save for apple jelly. Now, some of these apple peelings just kind of peeled right off, which was a surprise. So what I might do is put some of those, I like the applesauce to be a little red if I can. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll put a couple of the peelings in there just to get the color. And then once the color comes up, then I'll take the peeling out, because you can see them when it's in there. But some of these apples are just, most of them actually are just beautiful. But there's a few of them that are a little softer than I would have preferred. So I went through earlier and picked through them, and the ones that weren't good, I took out. Looks like I might have missed a couple. So I got a bowl going over here with my cores to use for for jelly. And then I've got a garbage set going over here. Let's see. Bashua says applesauce, definitely. Actually, she was looking at apples at the store earlier this week. May go back and get some to make some applesauce and apple butter. And you know what? I love apple butter. Haven't made any for a while, but we do like it, especially in the fall and winter. It is great on biscuits. And so I am going to just throw all of these apple pieces in the pot. I'll just, let them all cook up together. And then what will happen is that the color of the peel will come off. So it'll give the applesauce a nice little rosy color. At least hopefully it will. That's what I like to have happen. But the food mill, which I've got over here on the side, will keep the peeling and the seeds and all that from coming through. So I wanted to get this started and at least get the applesauce on before hubby got back. He went to help my sisters do something. So, and we had fish to process earlier. That man caught a record catch of fish yesterday. So we've already done that processing, and I helped him with the vacuum sealing. He does the processing with salt and some other stuff. I don't know what he does, but he does all of that. And while he's doing that, I'll get the vacuum sealer ready. I'll get the bags prepared, and get them. He'll tell me how many he thinks he's going to need, and so I'll get that many ready. And then, if he needs a few more, then I'll get a few more ready. And so the rest of these have been looking pretty good, so that's good. So, but I'll get those ready. I'm gonna need another bowl, which I've got one, and I'm gonna put it in a stock pot because I thought about using my Caraway Dutch oven, but I don't think it's gonna be big enough for all these apples. And I'm using my cooktop canner because someone asked yesterday if I could do a video where I showed how to use a regular cooktop canner and not just the electric water bath canner, which is what I like to use. So today I'm using my plain old-fashioned, well, it's stainless steel, but it's not the granite one. That one is somewhere else. It's in the other room, but it's very similar to how you would use the granite one that Grandma used to have. You just, put it on the stove, and so it's on the stove there now, and it's got my jars heating. And what I'm going to let it do is let the jars heat up, and when they come to a rolling boil, I'll turn them down. But remember, if processing, this apple was bad. If you process more than 10 minutes, the jars don't have to be sterile. They just have to be hot. So I've got them on. Getting hot. And I'll keep them in the water bath and take them out one at a time. Now, when I'm doing jam or jelly, it's usually not a problem doing them one at a time, but when I'm doing applesauce, it's annoying to do it one at a time. But I figure if I'm going to do it live, I'm going to have to do best practice, which is one at a time. So I'll be doing them one at a time. And I knew that I needed to get to these apples because my husband, they've been here almost a week. And it just took me this long to get to them. And sometimes life be lifing. And then I had that procedure on Friday, so I've been just kind of quiet. So that's why I'm sitting down doing this. But Rachel Knight, it is so good to see you. How have you been? How's the family? And if I'm thinking you're the right Rachel Knight, you're the one whose husband was in the Navy and you guys were in Hawaii and now you're back. If I'm thinking about the wrong Rachel, let me know, because my sister, if you're the right one, you'll remember my sister, Mickey Blue Skies, and she would always be like, no, that's not the right one. She's blah, 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 blah. She remembers everybody. So let me know how you are, how you're doing. I'm going to need another pot or bowl. Got apples on the hands, so I will rinse the hands off a little bit, and I'll get a bowl from down here. I think I was telling you guys yesterday, and then I ended up getting interrupted, but I was watching this lady do baking. Let's see. Bathsheba says, recently purchased a food mill and used it to make tomato sauce. Oh, that sounds wonderful. And then remember the time her stepfather went fishing and brought back a lot of fish. My mom cleaned them and we ate them for dinner. So good. Yeah, well, as you guys know that follow me, oh, let me cover these apples. I've been getting these little gnat things. I don't know where they're coming from, but these little gnat things have been getting in the house. So I'm going to just cover those apples for now. But she does baking. This woman that I saw does baking. I think her channel was like Little Village Homestead. Since Miss Fiona's been teaching me how to bake, I've been watching like some baking channels as well. And this woman had a bowl, must have been this big, this tall. It was huge. I've never seen a bowl that big before. Now, truth be told, this woman is a professional baker. She has a market stand with her homestead. So they sell like cinnamon bread and artesian bread and regular bread. They just sell all kind of different kinds of breads. So when she makes bread, she's got to make like 4 loaves at a time because she's making it for the market. But I couldn't believe how big those bowls were. Yeah, you know, it's a good thing that I got to these apples today. If I waited till tomorrow, no telling what, because I did discard some, and then earlier today I made some like cinnamon apples for pancakes, and they were a little soft, but they'll be fine for pancakes. I'm gonna make pancakes for lunch. So, and I'll show you those as soon as I get these all done, because they're over there in the oven. And I don't want to have to, I want to try to have this much out of the way before he gets back. Because if I can have this much out of the way and then just have the apples in the pot simmering, the applesauce simmering, I can always jar it up, you know, without too much trouble. And I don't plan to keep you guys on while I jar it up, not unless, you know, folks just want me to do it. In case people missed it yesterday. Yesterday, I wanted everyone to see the whole process because I get questions about it from time to time. And Bathsheba, you know, one of the things that me and Miss Leona is working on is teaching our young homemakers and even our seasoned homemakers how to do some things a little differently to prepare for these rising grocery prices. And one of the groups of people that I worry a lot about are my people that use SNAP benefits, because in many states, not all, but in many states, there's going to be some changes in the SNAP benefits. Some states, it's just going to be a reduction in how much the family receives. Some states it's going to be a reduction in what they can actually buy. But regardless, there may be some changes, and if the changes don't affect you, the tight budgets may. So I made those apple for those that don't know, teach them how to make some treats on their own so they can provide some treats for their family. And making your own applesauce and learning how to make cinnamon apples to put on pancakes, or you can also use those cinnamon apples to put on ice cream. You could make like an apple cobbler, use it for that, you know, apple pie filling. There's just so much you can do with apples, and even apple dumplings. My mom used to make apple dumplings when I was a kid, and we loved them. Now, how many of you guys, your mom made apple dumplings for you guys? And when I say apple dumplings, it wasn't the kind where you drop the dumplings into apple broth or something, but it was like they took the apple and it was like you had like this dough that wrapped up around the apple, and then sugar and butter and other seasonings were in it, and you put it in the oven and then you baked it. How many had apple dumplings like that when you were a kid? Let me know in the comment section. I made those for my kids a couple of times because I just loved them. And one of my sisters called me yesterday. She called to see how I was doing, and she said, you know, did you guys go to the Johnny Appleseed Festival? And I said, girl, you know I can't get out this house. I said I would have loved to have gone, but my husband not let me out this house until Monday. However, I said, no, I would have loved to have gone to the Johnny Appleseed Festival. And you know, if you can, well, you probably don't know, but the original Johnny Appleseed was from right here in our hometown. And so we've got lots of stuff that's named after him. John Chapman was his name. And there's a Johnny Appleseed Festival every year, and it was like last weekend. And they have all kind of apple things going on, you know. It's like a big state fair kind of, except it's like an old-fashioned fair out of the park, and people are making chili, and they have tents and all kind of fun stuff. One year, and we would take the kids every year, one year my son and his cousin, now they were about 13 or 14, so you know they knew better. I discovered they're running around the park looking at this and that, and they saw this big tunnel opening. So they decided to go down there and see what was in it. Well, it was a drainage ditch. You know, one of those big drainage ditches that are real wide like that? They crawled into that thing. My son slipped and fell, ripped up his new Adidas running suit that he happened to have on. And that's the only reason why I knew they had done that, was because his clothes were ripped up. They could have fallen and really injured themselves. Now, you know, but I tell you what, teenage boys are always, they're like cats, extremely nosy and adventurous. Luckily, he was not hurt. To this day, he's doing just fine. But I tell you what, I was like, you did what? Okay, looks like my pot back there is, I could hear it singing a little bit. It's bubbling. It's bubbling just fine. Yeah, I think these apples that he brought home, you know, they're not going to be good for anything but applesauce, because they're a little softer. But he did ask for cooking apples. I will say that. He said he told him he needed some cooking apples because, you know, he doesn't know what to get. And he said cooking apples, and so they gave him these. They said these are cooking apples. And cooking apple are softer than others. Next time he goes out there, he's gonna take me with him. Him and his friend went because his friend likes to go and get bacon and just other produce and things. So I don't usually go when him and his friend is making the trip. I got another bowl right here. So we'll get this one. Oh, look at this bowl. Isn't it nice? It's a set. So this is the largest one that I've got. And then you've seen some of the smaller ones. It was my grandmother's, so it's vintage. My grandmother's been gone at least 10 years, and she was about 90 when she died. So it's a vintage set. And probably there's a larger bowl that went with it, because I wouldn't think that that would be the largest one necessarily. But that's what I got. Haven't been able to find anything to go along with it. And I have to remind my husband from time to time, don't put this in the dishwasher. Because I figure when they were making those items back then, they weren't thinking about a dishwasher. So I don't think it's necessarily dishwasher safe. So I'm just careful with it, because I can't replace it should something happen to it. So tell me what you guys are cooking for Sunday dinner today. I'm thinking probably, I want some pork chops. For some reason, smothered pork chops sound good today. We've had chicken quite a bit lately, so smothered pork chops sound good. And, oh, let me put some more. Put some wax paper over that. There. I'm just trying to be careful because I hate them little gnat things. Am I the only one those little gnat fruit fly things are getting into your house? If anybody else has that problem, let me know. And what do you do about it? I feel like having somebody come out and bomb the house with some kind of little bug thing to get rid of them. Now these apples, these last few, these are looking pretty good. I had some bad ones over there, but these, and they feel pretty good too. Bathshua, thank you for joining me again today too. I know today is Sunday and you probably got a lot to do with your family. However, I'm glad, you know, when I'm working like this, I like to have company. It's kind of like when your sister comes over and sits down while you're in the kitchen working and they're just sitting there chatting. It's like that. I like to have company when I am cooking, or if I'm going to be doing something for a long time. I like to have company. Ha! Last apple. These little apple slicers are invaluable. So let's say you young moms out there that are still living the mommy life, they're perfect to cut up apples to have little snacks for your little ones. You can cut up, like this little apple had 8 little snacks, but for a toddler, 2 or 3 of these would be perfect. So yeah, consider that. All right, so now I got my pan of soapy water over here, or I should say sink of soapy water. I have the apples in there, so let me rinse that out again. And then, this is a pan that I'm going to cook the applesauce in, because it's big enough that I could probably get them all in there. So I'm going to put the apple cores that I'm saving in this plate. I'm going to set it aside, and I'll put it in the freezer. But in the meantime, I'm going to rinse these again, just because I've been pounding them to cut them up. And I'll put them there and give them another good rinse. Oh, you know what? I gotta cut them into chunks. So let's do that real quick. So I'm just going to cut them in half. Like the small ones, I'm just cutting in half. The larger ones, then I'll cut into threes, but I'm just cutting them into chunks. And they're starting to brown a little bit from being exposed to the air. But I'm not going to bother with putting lemon juice on them. Some of these apples were pretty small, so they almost don't need cutting. Now I'll get the real little ones and just kind of get them in the pot. And these with the really red skin, they should really give it some good color. Just really give this applesauce some good color. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to be bright red, but they should have just like a nice little light red color. I like it when they're like that. Okay. Yeah, these small apples, the pieces are small enough, I'm just cutting them in half. And then the bigger ones, I'll cut into thirds. Because then as they cook down and they soften, when I put them through the food mill, they'll be fine. And like I said, they're turning a little brown from the oxidation, but I'm not going to worry about that. That just helps with the color on the applesauce. Okay, so those have been rinsed. You know what? I'm not even going to bother to cut these in half. Because by the time I cook them down and put them through the food mill, they'll be soft enough to just mash. Because I'll be mashing them while they're in the pot. So I'll rinse them off. I'm going to set this over here. Now I've rinsed these off, and I'm just going to drop them in the pot. And then I'll add some apple juice or apple cider to the pot. Maybe about a cup full, because of course we don't want the apples to stick. And as I said, I've got my sink of soapy water over here. So I can just put the bowls right there to the soapy water. So one of my things I always like to tell my homemakers is to clean as you go. Just to kind of make it easy for you. But for my young homemakers or those on a really tight budget, and Bathsheba, you can probably tell too, is that one way to really save on your budget is if you can buy in season. And right now, tomatoes and apples and squashes, those are in season. And so you can pick up some of these things in bulk and make treats for your family. Particularly some of the apple desserts will just be delicious. Just absolutely delicious. Now these are browning up, but I'm not going to worry about it. Because when I put that brown sugar in there, it's going to brown them up a little bit more anyway. So. I'm giving them a good rinse. Ooh, this pan is almost full. I'm thinking I probably need to put some of these in another pot. Yeah, I'm going to need to do that. This is too many apples from one pot. I'll get my caraway pot down as I started to do, but I thought I'd be able to cook them all in one pot. And now, this is why I like to use my electric canner, because then I don't have to worry about anything on the cooktop. So I've got my jars heating up on one burner, on one, eye. And then I'll have these apples cooking on another eye. Let me grab that caraway pot down real quick. I should have just went ahead and got it out. So let me bring you over a little closer. So I'll grab and let's hope I don't knock it over. Let me tell you guys, last night, I'm trying to learn how to do TikTok too. So let's see, what are people saying? Jennifer, I recently bought 5 fruit trees and hope to be making apple pies in 10 years. Okay. Bonnie's making apple butter right now. She just bought in pumpkin butter this week. I've got some pumpkin butter too. My sister went to Trader Joe's and brought me back some maple butter, maple pecan butter, something like that, and pumpkin butter. And that maple butter is great in coffee, but yes, so apple butter is delicious, so yes. And thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you. You guys are chatting with each other. Yes, we're here in Maryland now, and she's still working and in school and homeschooling Lance. She actually has free time this morning, and I'm so happy. I'll have to tell Blue Skies that now my pot over here with my jars in it are boiling away. So the jars will be good and hot and probably sterile also by the time we get them out. But let me get some of these apples in here. And then I'll put the other ones in the back, I guess, because I'll have to use them on this side because that pot takes up so much space. I can't get another pot behind them. There. Okay. All right, so now, let's see, I don't know if you can see me. I'll have to rinse my hands once I get these over here. So now, I can get this one back there, and this one up here. Let me wash my hands real quick. They're all apple-y. We have apples all over them. And let me grab my apple juice out of the fridge, and I'm going to just pour a little bit over the apples because I don't want them to stick. And I don't have much left, so I'll just pour it all in. And then the apples will also make. So I'll get them turned on. Let's see. That's apple. Okay. Yeah, this pot is pretty big, so I can't get anything else behind it. Let me get this out of the way, though. It doesn't need to be there for right now. I'll just sit it there. That's where I like to sit it, but it doesn't have to be there. Okay, so now these apples are on, and I'm going to just kind of put a top over them, let them cook down. So I'll put a top over that one, and this top is right here. And then I've got my lids in this little pot here, but I'm not going to put it on until the applesauce is pretty much done. So these jars are ready. I'm going to turn the fire down and just let them sit on warm. We'll see how this works out. So I've got the apples in both these pots. I've got apple juice in both the pots as well, and I'll let them cook down. Once they start to cook down, I'll stir them so that they don't stick. La Sharika! Oh, honey, hello. I'm glad you're here. I am making applesauce. But yesterday I saw your video, I think it was TikTok. I saw it somewhere, where you and your family just moved into a new home. Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. It is so nice to move into a new home. You and your husband have worked long and hard for it, so congratulations. And I'm glad you're here. And Rachel, so you and La Sharika are both in Maryland and both homeschool. You guys should get to know each other. Rachel's husband was in the military, in the Navy, and they just, got back stateside not too long ago. So she's still adjusting to civilian life. But Rachel, I started watching the unit again. You'll get a good laugh out of that. Sierra said that I've heard you can leave a bowl of sugar out to help with those little bugs. And that's what I'm going to try to do, either a bowl of sugar or a bowl of vinegar or something. My husband used to have this one little strip. He would put it on the window and they would like get stuck on it. But I saw some little thing on Amazon. You plug it in, it's like a little light and it attracts them. So I'm going to order one of those things. I'm just sick of these little bugs. So yes, Rachel, you and La Sharika should get to know one another. You guys will love it. Oh, and Bonnie is in Maryland too. 3 people from Maryland. So, and then Jennifer's got her fruit trees planted. And so yeah, Monica's in Northern Indiana. Boom, I'm in I'm in Northeastern Indiana. I'm in Fort Wayne. So hey, yes. Okay, glad to have you back, Bashua. Yes. You know what, La Sharika, I do miss talking to you guys on Monday night. I feel like there's somewhere I should be, something I should do. But you know what? Life is life. And so now, if 175 says she's got many of them darn things, so you got a lot of those. Oh, gnats, yes. And they're just driving me crazy. And then my husband brought in that bushel of apples, and some could have come in with those, because some of the apples were starting to go a little bad. So let me grab a baggie and put those. Let me bring you guys over here now. So I was telling you guys yesterday, I was trying to learn how to do TikTok. Because I figured, I'm home and I'm not doing much, especially these last 3 days. I've just been pretty much confined to the house, sitting down, laying down, that kind of thing. So wasn't doing a whole lot. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go live on TikTok, because I had showed you guys how I made that raspberry jam. And I thought, well, let me just let them see a little bit as to how that happens too. So I had some footage to share with them. Now these are the apple cores. These are the apple cores. I'm going to put them in the freezer. And then when the apples cook down and the peelings and the seeds come out, I'm going to throw that away. But you can use those peelings and things like that to make apple jelly or apple juice. But I'm going to put this in the freezer, and then this down here where a lot of the apples were bad, I'm going to pitch those. So let me just put this in the freezer real quick. Well, I'm trying not to have all those little gnats. So I got all my canning stuff ready. So these can go in my sink of soapy water. This is going in the garbage. So, sometimes you get apples that are softer than you want. And I probably would not have wanted some of these to have been as soft as they were. But, I told him I want some cooking apples. And so he just told the folks, I need some cooking apples. And took what they gave him, because, of course, he doesn't know the difference. And then again, like I said, they have been sitting here in my kitchen for a week, and that's not the best either. I couldn't work on them right away guys, let me show you my new cutting board too. I got this titanium cutting board because I have been hearing about how the wooden cutting boards or the plastic cutting boards, you get like microplastics in your food with the plastic ones, and then with the wooden ones, sometimes they don't get sanitized properly and you end up with cross-contamination. So I do have, like, I'll show you. I do have a couple of wooden cutting boards, but the only thing I use on the wooden cutting boards is like fruit and vegetables. I don't do meat or anything, any kind of protein on those cutting boards, just fruit and vegetables. And I've got a glass one right here, and it's just pretty. I do use it from time to time, but my husband bought it from a place he went, like to an art conference or something, and this is like Suzanne's, one of Suzanne's things, and so he brought this cutting board back for me, and I do use it, but it's noisy, like, it's real noisy when I cut on it. So I mostly just set it on the counter and have it look good, but I've been running out of space, so I put all my cutting boards up here. Now let me show you these two that I've got. This one is one of my favorites. It has got Homemaking with Denise on it, and I was on the Sean Cannell show as a guest, you know, so he was interviewing me. So they sent me this, and I just love it. So needless to say, I don't cut on this. I will turn it over, and I'll put a towel on the back of it, and I'll put my jars on it when I take them out of the canner, and that way I can easily move them around. And then this one, this is the first really nice one I had. My sister sent it to me. It was for our 45th wedding anniversary, and it says 45 years, happy anniversary, 540 months, 16,437 days, 3 wonderful children, 6 sweet grandchildren, always in forever, no matter what. And it's got Willie and Denise Jordan, May 13th, 1972. So I don't cut on this either. I might turn it over, put a towel on the back of it and set a canning jar on it, but that's about it. So, and then, for those of you that have been following me know that I love Megan, the Duchess of Sussex. She's got that With Love Megan show. And I was, you know, like checking out her kitchen, and she had her cutting boards and charcuterie boards, like kind of sitting around her kitchen as part of the accoutrements. And I thought, I'm going to do that. So I put them over here so that they actually can be seen rather than having them underneath the cabinet. So this is how I usually will have them. It's like this. And then I'll have them like that. So like if I'm doing video, people can just kind of see them in the background, and they just kind of look nice. So there's that. La Sharika, I saw you've been getting ready for your homeschool. So Rachel, La Sharika has a lot of videos where she's showing different things where she's doing her homeschool, that kind of thing. Now this is like a little stabilizer that came with my titanium cutting board. So I like to rinse it out, and now set it over here, just kind of let it dry out for now. I'll just drape it over there. And then this is going in the trash. So I'll get it dumped. Then let me just check these. Haven't really started doing much yet. The one in the back is though. I got the fire up high with that one. And this one is coming up. So now let me get a couple of these things out of the way. One thing that I don't like to do, but sometimes it does happen, is have too much of a mess in the kitchen. And I wanted to at least have one of these eyes off and have those pots, have the applesauce in the jars before hubby gets home, because he plans on making fish for lunch. So he's going to need one of these eyes. And I suppose if push comes to shove, I could get one of those little, I do have one of those little cooktops, you know, you can put it on the counter. But I don't know how happy he would be with that. So, yeah. So now, let's try to get these washed up. I've got the dishwasher half loaded. So some of this can just go in the dishwasher, but you know, it's just like a plate and stuff like that. So I can just go ahead and just wash it. It's just this one plate. You guys know I use these little red plates for some of everything. So as soon as the applesauce cooks, the jars are ready, and then I can, oh, well, I'll have to, you know, to strain it. And then they're ready. So I'm going to be at this for a minute. So if you need to leave and come back, trust me, I get it. So this is going to take some time. And I just wanted some company while I was working. And then sometimes, you know, when I'm doing video, it takes me a minute to get the video edited and get it up. Or I take out some of what I'm doing, so my young homemakers like, well, how did you do that? Well, this way, when I do it live, you can see everything. You can just see everything. So it's almost like just doing a vlog. You can just see everything. And I'm cleaning as I go. So while those apples are cooking, and I might end up moving those jars to the back burner because they are pretty much, they're ready. Now, I'll need a potato masher. No, I won't. I was thinking I was going to need a potato masher, well, yes, I will, in the pot. And I don't like to mash in my caraway cookware. I don't like to do that. This, that's done. That's done. And I'll probably set these in the dishwasher when I get ready to run it. That just helps to clean those better than I can clean them. I got 2 dishcloths out, which is typical when I'm doing a lot of things. And so I'll go ahead and get this knife dried off and put away. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Oh, you said you'd hang it on the wall. Oh, you really want to make some mulberry jam. You know what? I didn't get any mulberries. We did have a mulberry tree that was starting to produce, and it got kind of tall, and it was touching the electric wire, so the city came through and cut that thing completely down, which did not aggravate my husband one bit. He was glad to see it go. So I don't have any mulberries. And I don't think you can like buy mulberries. You have to pick them from somewhere. So yeah, but I would love some mulberries. I remember when I was a kid, it was like all of the older ladies in the neighborhood had mulberry trees. And no one seems to have that anymore. Yeah, nobody seems to have mulberry trees anymore. Do you guys have mulberry trees in your neighborhoods? For those of you that don't have one? Let's see. So Jennifer said she would hang those on the wall. You know, I probably should. My daughter's got a couple, you know, nice things like that, and she hung them on the wall. But you know, my walls are, I don't have a lot of wall space around here. So I used to like to have a calendar right there. Well, my granddaughter and grandson made that for me they made that for me last Christmas. So that's right there. And then the other wall space I have on the other side, and I put the calendar over there. And it's not a very nice calendar because I didn't get out in time enough, and so I missed the calendars when they went on sale or when they had them in. I like to buy those rooster calendars, the Proud Rooster ones. Can't think of the lady's name that does them. They have such lovely pictures in it. I get the same calendar every year, just different, she just has different pictures in it. And I missed it, and so I got some little Jack Lee calendar, probably, I don't know, State Farm or Roth World, I don't know, some person that we do business with gave us the calendar. I shouldn't call it a Jack Leg. It's really a nice little calendar. But it's not the Proud Rooster calendar that I like to get every year. And it's not as large. So that's the calendar that I have in the kitchen right now. So, yeah. So I missed my calendar that I prefer. And I have to think about that. I have to think about where can I put that. Both of them. So, and this dishcloth needs to be replaced. They're both doing nicely. I'll bring you guys over and let you see down in there in just a second. But the thing is, it's going to take a minute for them to get. So I keep this knife in the box because any knives left out go in the dishwasher. And you're not supposed to put your good knives in the dishwasher. So I keep this in the box. I've had this knife for several years, and I make sure I keep it cut up. He has learned that these spurtles don't go in the dishwasher. But every now and then, if I'm not careful, but I'm not complaining because he will load the dishwasher. And I taught him how to turn it on the other day. So, yeah. And then I've got my sugar, my brown sugar, cinnamon and nutmeg, and then I've got my food mill and a pan in case I needed it. I've got those things out by so that I can be prepared and, not have to go off camera too much. Okay. I am going to have to, I shouldn't have to dry anything else right now, so there. So this is all ready. So I got my potato masher. Let me bring you over a little closer so you can see what's in the pot. Now you might feel a little seasick, but I'm going to bring you over here and then we're going to see what's cooking down here. So here's my caraway pan right there, and I really love working with it. And the lid's not hot yet. So I'm gonna take the lid off. Notice I always hold the lid away from me. And I'm gonna use my spurtles to here, and let me let you see inside the pot. You can kind of see where there's a soft boil there. And I couldn't stir that boil down if I wanted to. It's not boiling as hard as it would be if I had them, was processing it. But it's boiling pretty good. So, these are getting nice and tender, so they're looking pretty good. And they are making some juice here. So let's see, what are you guys saying? Okay. Oh, you bought a little cooktop burner too. My small galley kitchen needs to be replaced. Okay. I got one of those, and If I don't have one of these burners free, he may have to use that when he gets home. Sid says, I love canning applesauce. Great for a beginner like your shows, like your shows. You know what? And Sid, you're right. I do, for those of you who don't know, I just created a course, a canning course called Yes You Can, a beginner's guide to water bath canning, and the link is in the description box below. But I walk you through step by step, and the first thing I make in there is strawberry jam, and then I also make applesauce. I make the strawberry jam using my electric water bath canner, which I use on my cooktop, and then I make the applesauce using this stovetop water bath canner. And I prefer the electric one just because it's not on my cooktop. But what I realize is everyone doesn't have an electric one. Especially my young homemakers who are just getting started, they don't have all the little gadgets and gadgets that someone that's been married 50 plus years has had the time to accumulate. I tell you one thing though, I was trying to do a TikTok, and I was showing them how we were vacuum sealing my husband's catch. He had, like I said, a record catch of fish. And I had to reopen one of the bags, cut the top off one of the bags, and vacuum seal it again. And you should have seen me trying to work through, trying to cut that off. And the scissors I was using were just dull. And you guys know Luann from It's Always Something Around Here. She started laughing. And she said, Miss Denise needs a new pair of shears. And she's right about that. Yeah, no, so I put the apple juice in the bottom of this pan, even though they will, I'm going to turn you around just a little bit. Even though it will make it some juice on its own, what we don't want to have happen is for it to stick. And that's why I put it in there. And now with this pan, if I need to, I can use my potato masher and mash some of that up just to get it cooking a little quicker. You know, because the bigger the pieces are, the longer it takes them to cook down. So I can do that to get them to cook down. Now, I would not want to do that in my caraway pot because I would not want to damage it. So, however, it doesn't need it because you can see the nice thing about the caraway cookware is once it heats up, it's like it heats up all over and it just really cooks things nicely. I love making chicken and dumplings in it. Oh, but I was telling you about my course. So, my course is called Yes You Can, a beginner's guide to water bath canning, and what I do is walk you through step by step how to do water bath canning. From the start to the finish, how to choose your jars, what canner is best for you, and then we even talk about troubleshooting it, all that kind of stuff once you've got your jars done. So yes, it's a pretty good course, and I would love for you guys to check it out, and it's in the description box below. You can kind of see they're cooking down nicely, and so then I'll put these through the food mill. And the one thing about it, now this pan here, the bottom's not quite as heavy as I would prefer. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on it so that it doesn't stick. And it's trying to, let me get this off of here. It's trying to stick. Let me take that off just real quick. I've got the fire up too high. I can see that right now. And I'm going to have to get that out of that pan. Now, what am I going to put it in? Let's see. I'm going to have to figure out what to put it in. So let's see, what else do I have? And this is what I don't want to do. I don't want, oh, here's a can. Put it in this one. So what I don't want to do is scrape the bottom of the pan. When you're starting to get filled that something is starting to scorch just a little bit, you do not want to scrape the bottom of the pan because you don't want to scrape that scorched part up. So let's see. So all you want to do is just pour it straight in. So whatever is scorched stays there. And the problem is that this, you know, the way it was situated on that pie, and you can kind of see there, one little scorched spot there. So I didn't try to scrape that up. And I'll put some water in it right away. And now I'll set this on there. And the nice thing about this pot is that it's a little smaller. Now, when I first put those apples in that pot, they wouldn't have all fit in this pot, I don't believe, or at least not easily because they were too big. But now that they've cooked down, they'll fit. And I can get this pot to fit better on the back of that stove too, because it's not as big. Okay, so we're gonna get this back on the stove and I'm gonna turn that heat down. Now, it was good that you guys got to see that because what that shows you is that, sorry about making you seasick. Sorry. But what that shows you is that even Miss Denise makes errors, especially if she gets to talking and not paying attention. So anyway, Luann was saying that I needed a new, some new kitchen shears. And one of the things that, like, I've been taking a class on live streaming, vertical live stream, and one of the things that they ask us to do is to, like, set a goal for how much you would like to earn, if at all possible, and then let your people know what it is. So I would like to earn, what, $25 so I could buy another pair of kitchen shears. I guess they're probably about that much on Amazon. So if you guys want to chip in on that, feel free. Oh God, here he comes. He's walking in the door and there's no burner free. Well, we'll work it out. Okay. That turned down. Okay. Those look pretty good. I'm thinking those look pretty good. Yeah, I'm thinking these look pretty good. So they look pretty soft. So I'm going to just turn this one off. And then we'll get these cooked down. And if they're cooked down enough, we'll get this one off. Yeah. So I'm thinking that this one's good enough that I'm going to take it off the stove, put it through the food mill. This one is just about ready for that. So let me just get this over here. Gonna let this one cook just a few more minutes. But I've got the heat on medium. That one's off. So I'll be right back. So I'll bring this over here. And I'll get a bowl out so that I can put it in there. How'd it go, honey? What? Okay. Let me me bring you down this way. So this is the food mill. And I'm going to put the food mill right here. I need to get a little caraway there. Now, these countertops, I will set like hot pots on them, not like a Dutch oven or anything like that, but I will set that on here and it doesn't burn it. You know, it's like tough as steel. However, it's not my favorite one. So one of the things I'm going to be working on is a new kitchen. Told my husband I wanted a new kitchen, so that's one of the things we're looking at for next year. So, okay. I'm going to just turn that off. Okay. I've got that one turned off right now because what I don't want to have happen is for that one to stick and scorch while I'm over here doing this. So, you just put it in here in the food mill like that. Just a little at a time. And then just roll it through like that. And then bring it back the other way and then roll it some more. And you can see that the applesauce comes through. And then once it comes through, then you have to cook it down a little bit more, add your whatever. Like if you want to add sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg to it, then you do that once you've got all of the so I'm going to rub it the other way. And then I'm putting that, the peelings and things like that in this pan. And then put a few more in here. And I think I dropped an apple in here. There we go. And then once this is out, I put it back in one of those cook pans and just cook it and add my sugar, which I like my applesauce sweet, so I always add sugar to it. And I put 7 pint jars because I don't know how much I'm going to get. I'm guessing maybe 7 jars. If not, I'll put some in a jar in the fridge and we'll just use that this week. I told you guys I'd be on here for a minute. So anybody that wants to chip in to buy me a pair of kitchen shears, feel free to do so. Doesn't have to be a lot. And you know what? This is funny because, you know, when I was on with my group, and I'm like, I think I feel, what? I just about got a burner free for you. You know what? Here, let me move this off of the stove and you can get over here. What? You don't want to be what? Well, honey, I won't be filming you, but I will have the back of you because I'll try to turn it. But you can get over there. There. Will that work? I've got the camera. I'll put this on this side. Okay. So I put the burner that's on that side, they won't see you. Okay. But it's that turbo burner, so you got to keep an eye on the heat. Our stove has this one burner called the turbo burner, and that puppy gets really, really hot. And if you're not careful, it'll burn stuff up. As a matter of fact, I didn't have that stove probably a month, probably just a couple weeks. When it was Christmas time, family was here. Me and my husband and some other people, I can't remember who all, was in the car. We left to go do something. My daughter was left here cooking. We come back, she's standing in the garage, eyes wide. I'm like, okay, something happened. Turned out the stove caught fire. She was using that turbo burner. Didn't know that it was like super, super hot. The stove caught fire, the pot caught fire. It was like smoke, everything everywhere. My husband, after we cleaned it up, my husband had to repaint the wall, and it just never quite came out quite the same. We had to call Sears to come out and change the panel on the stove. The guy says, this looks like it's been burned. I'm like, and your point is? I'm like, I only had that thing like 2 or 3 weeks. It was still under warranty. He had to fix it. So I had tried to be careful. Sauce though looks like. I was thinking maybe 7 pints. What, dear? Oh. I'm all in his way. I'm sorry, babe. Let's see. Oh, so Jennifer says she has an old mulberry tree, too tall to reach any berries. Parking the car under it isn't advisable due to the happy birds and tree. Yeah. What am I making today? I am making applesauce. Hey, Tam. I'm so glad you're here to join me today. I appreciate it. Hey, I got $19.99 so far. Thank you. Let's see, who sent that? Tam! Oh my goodness, now. Thank you. I always call you Miss Leona's baby, but maybe you're my baby now too. Oh my goodness, that is so kind of you. I'm not sure how this works. Hopefully YouTube gives all the money to you. YouTube takes 30%, I think, of everything. But I didn't expect one person. I figured maybe a few people would chip in $1.99, you know, and then I'd have enough to get a new pair of kitchen shears. So I didn't expect one person to chip in $19.99, but thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, but like I was telling you guys, oh, see, you guys can see it's coming out the bottom. So I had told the coach, I said, you know, I just feel I asked some people to donate to the channel. And she says, well, maybe there's something you can actually use for the channel. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And so when I was trying to learn how to do TikTok, and you guys know Lou Ann from It's Always Something Around Here. She hasn't been on YouTube a lot lately, but she's over on TikTok all the time. She said, looks like you need a new pair of kitchen shears. And I'm like, oh. So yeah, that's true. I said, so that's something, that I could, mention. And I do feel a little odd with it, but that's where we are. But thank you, Tam. I appreciate it. So, boom. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll be getting me a new pair of kitchen shears this week. I even got all the counter space we've got. My poor husband. I thought you probably would want me to get to those apples, though. Y'all know I'm looking a little rugged today, too. Yesterday and today, I've been mostly sitting down or in the bed or whatever. And whereas I half combed my hair, it's just been like, I thought, I don't care today. I thought, y'all not going to care either. I thought if you do, we'll have to worry about it next time. Now this Spurtle is really good at getting this moved around in here. This dish is not the deepest, but it works out well for the little feet of this to fit on there. So if you don't have a food mill, I strongly recommend getting one because it just makes making applesauce so much easier. You guys saw I didn't have to peel the apples. Oh, and look what nice color. See, those peels make such nice color. Yes. Had this food mill for a while too. I don't know where I got it. Probably Target or Walmart or somewhere like that. I've had it for years. I used to have one of those old-fashioned presses where you like a little stand and you sit it there and you have a little pounder and you pound it and it comes out through the bottom. I don't know what happened to it. It just disappeared. Those out. I think I might have put too much in at one time this time. Trying to hurry up, but there, got that out. We'll get those out. Let me get a napkin. You be okay over there? Okay. I like to wipe the bottom of this little screw because every now and then it'll just get kind of filled with some of that. So let's get all this out of here. We had thunderstorms earlier. What have you guys had? Just as I was getting started, I think. We had thunderstorms. So we'll have this one pot done. So we almost got things done before he got here. That was my goal, was to get this done before he got here. Look how much we've got already. Some lovely color too. I don't like put food coloring or anything like that in my stuff. Well, I take it back. I have some. Is it called Kitchen Bouquet? It's a browning and seasoning sauce. And I will put that sometimes in gravy. Like if I'm making chicken gravy, I'll put that in sometimes. And it just gives it a nice little color. so it's not white. Because I associate white gravy with pork, like with biscuits and gravy, sausage gravy. That's why I associate that white gravy with. So I'll put just a drop or two of, I appreciate you guys keeping company with me while I do this. Hubby will be watching football, and the last thing he's going to want is for me to be talking his ear off because I'm bored, or not necessarily bored, but because I want company while I'm canning applesauce. But he will enjoy the fruits of my labor. He loves applesauce. And he really likes applesauce on biscuits, you know. You can make biscuits and they're all hot and buttery, and then put applesauce on them. They're really good. All right, let's get this one out. So to get it to come out, I'll rotate it backwards. And then that gets it out. Lots of apple peeling in there. Let me just wipe some of this off of there. Getting it put over here. Let me just, so you can see what I'm doing. Because in case I got anybody new joining me, I'm making applesauce. And I've already prepped the apples, prepared them. And so now I am getting the apples put through the food mill or the food press so that I can put it on the stove and add my sugar to it. Ah, yes, I'm one of those people. I like sugar in my applesauce. Now, I won't put a lot of sugar in it because hubby has not complained about it, and if it's too sweet, he will. So, this is my second pan, and I use my Caraway Dutch oven. Apples are good. I won't have to put a lot of sugar in it because, first of all, I want it to be healthy. Now, let's talk about that. One of the nice things about making your own applesauce is you know exactly what goes in it. You know how much salt, pepper, sugar, whatever. You know exactly how much goes in it. And that's the nice thing about canning. So when you can products like your own applesauce, your own tomato sauce, pasta sauce, juice, things like that, you know exactly what goes in it. So you can control what's in your family's diet. And that's the good part. Well, I made a mess there. I dropped that in there, and I don't want that because that piece had some skin on it. There. There we go. Some of these pieces are probably a little bigger than I had in the other pan. And I think what I'll do, I'm trying not to mash in this pan because I didn't want to mess up the interior. However, if I just mash straight down, that ought to be okay. Yeah, that's much better. My pan of hot soapy water is not quite so hot now, but it still helps to get the sticky off my. Did you find your pan there? It's okay. I think I'm annoying him. So if you just joined me, I'm Miss Denise, and I teach traditional homemaking for today's homemakers. And right now, it's making season. And I don't know how to get that off. I'm not sure. I'll give a heart. And now, there. So I want to thank you guys for that. So let's see. Yeah, happy birds, fruit trees. Does elevation, oh yes, elevation does affect canning. So if, I have an article from the Ball Home Preserving, and if you're like at 1,000 feet, above 1,000 feet, you have to add so many minutes to your canning process. I will link that article in the description box below. I have to get it. I do have it in my course, Yes You Can, A Beginner's Guide to Water Bath Canning, and I have that linked in the description box below. But I will find the article and link it in the description box because it does make a difference. Also, my book, let me grab it. I got this book right over here. I'll grab both of them since I'm moving away from the camera. And I'm, not following protocol by moving away from the camera. This is the Canner's Bible, the Home Canner's Bible. It is the Ball book, the Guide to Preserving. It's got new recipes, that kind of thing. But, what's your...
Red plate. Thank you. Red plate. Red.
Oh, red. I thought you said bread plate. He said red plate. Sorry. Okay. So it is the Canner's Bible, and it talks in here. Oh, are you done with that fish? Can you bring some over here so you can show it? Because everybody always wants to see when you... So he fried fish for his lunch. Doesn't that look delicious? Let's move that before it gets into applesauce. But anyway, it talks in here about the elevation. It gives you all the different parameters and all of that. So if you don't have any books on canning, the first one you should pick up should be this. And I don't know if it's available on Amazon or not. Sometimes on Amazon it's out of stock, but you can get it at Menards and other like those hardware stores, because they will often have a good supply of canning products in there. And I do know for a fact that Menards has them because I bought a couple there. For the ladies that trialed my canning course, Yes You Can, The Beginner's Guide to Water Bath Canning, I bought each of them one of those books as a thank you. So, let me get, what happened to the paper towels? Oh, here they are over here. So I bought each of them one of those because you do need to have, a resource, and that's the best resource. I have to keep an eye on this little screw under here, and then also make sure that I'm not getting too much applesauce in a bowl so that the screw doesn't rest in it. Applesauce can be a little messy. Then again, it could just be me who's a little messy. So these are the scraps that I'm scraping out from here. And what you can do if you choose to is save those scraps and then pour water over it, heat it up, run it through a jelly bag, and let the water or the juice drip out. And now you've got apple juice that you can either make you can can for apple juice, or you can have some to make apple jelly. Yeah, sometimes I put too much in here at a time, and then when I do that, it there. This bowl is a good fit though for this. Let's get that out of there. Almost done with this. I appreciate you guys who've been with me for a while. So Ella says she thinks she wants to water bath some tomatoes. Yeah, this is the season. Get those tomatoes and get them water bath. I want to make some tomato sauce because I make a lot of soups and stews. You know, not tomato sauce. I want to make a lot of diced tomatoes, petite diced tomatoes, so that I have them for chili and soups and things like that. And then maybe I'll think about some tomato sauce. But I think about what I use most. And what I use most is diced tomatoes. So as you think about planning your season, what you want to do is think about what do you use, what do you need, and what do you use, what do you need. I use diced tomatoes, I use crushed tomatoes, more than I use taco sauce. So I want to make a lot of that. And then I also like to use chili sauce. So I'll be making some of those with tomatoes. My tomatoes didn't come in as good this year as they did last year. So I'll be picking up a bushel of tomatoes from the farmer's market. However, I'll still be saving money, because I'll be getting quite a bit of product as a result of it, and I'll know exactly what's in my food. And so I'll be building my pantry, my working pantry, as well as my extended pantry while I'm canning. And I'm doing that here with these apples. Apples are in season, it's a good price. And we use applesauce all year round, so I'm building my pantry now. This is gonna be the last one. Hooray! Hooray, hooray, hooray. Now notice, when you make applesauce and things like this, when they talk about use a heavy bottom pot, this is what they're talking about. Use a heavy bottomed pot. This one is not necessarily heavy bottom, but it works pretty good. This one is more a stock pot, and it's quite thin on the bottom, and so you saw I kind of turned my head for a minute, just for a minute, and it squirts. Luckily, I caught it in time so that the odor of the scorching didn't get all the way through my apples, so that I was able to pour those off right away into another pot. And that's what you do, pour it off right away into another pot. Don't scrape the bottom. You don't want to scrape the bottom. Yeah, don't scrape the bottom, because what you don't want to do is get that scorch smell off of your product. So that's why I just immediately took it off the stove and poured it into another pot. There we go. I'm going to set this right down in the water. And this one I've already got sitting in water. I'm going to need to put some baking soda in it, but I'm going to do that a little bit later on. I'm going to just squirt some water in here. And let these just kind of sit while I'm doing some other things, but okay. Like I say, clean as you go. Oops. Now you see what I did. I picked this up out of there, and there was a piece of apple peel. Luckily, I caught it, because I do not want any apple peel in here. So now look at all of this lovely applesauce. Oh, and you know what? I'm going to need to cook it. So let me get this cleaned out so that I can use it. And I think it's deep enough that it should work out fine. If not, I'll use 2 pans. In the pot. Alright, let's see if this pot is big enough. Let's just see. Okay, this bowl is almost as big as this pot, so I can tell right now it's going to be too much. I will pour I think I'm still going to need 2 pots. Yeah, I'm still going to need 2 pots. At least in the beginning, because I want to make sure it's the same sweetness. So once I get them, let's see. I probably shouldn't have it higher than that. So I'll put the rest of it in this one. And then once I get them both sweetened and heated up, then I'll put them all in that one pot. Because now's the time to add my sugar and cinnamon and all that and let it bubble. And I don't want to have the pot so full that it takes a while for it to bubble. So now, let me move those pots again. use this burner, so that's what I'm going to start with. And I'll put this one right here since it's bigger. And then I can put this one in the back. But there's still some on the bottom. There we go. Got all that off. Okay, so now both these are on. So I need to get them heated up. So, and I also need to add my cinnamon, my nutmeg, my sugar. So I'm going to take those things over there and I'll bring you over a little bit closer. So I'm going to need some sugar, some lemon juice, some cinnamon. Let me grab the lemon juice out of the fridge. I thought I had it out. I probably did, and I probably put it back. Now let me bring you over closer so you can see what I'm doing. My kitchen is starting to look like somebody dropped a bomb on it. One time my husband said, "Do you have to film everything?" Well, not everything, but a lot. Oh, Jennifer says, love your classes yesterday. They looked so good. Oh, you mean my jars of jam? Yeah, they really turned out well. I'll share them with you guys in a little bit. They're over on the other side, and I don't want to get them over. Yeah, the Singer burner is available, but he's already done. He's got his, I already showed it to you. So, and there, Tam, thank you so much for sending me $19.99 to help me purchase a new pair of kitchen shears. I appreciate that. So Lurker says, milling is the part I'm not fond of. But I dislike peeling apples more. Yeah, you know what? Milling is a lot easier than peeling all those apples. However, I do have an apple peeler. So Rachel's gonna do his target one. Hey, go. See you later. And Duncan, Tam says, I'm your baby too. My homemaking journey started with you and led me to Miss Leona. Okay, all right, thank you. I will claim you as mine. And then Lisa says, hi, Miss Denise. Hey, Lisa, how you doing? Let's see, let me make sure I don't have this up too high. It's on low. Oh, I got looks like I got some applesauce on the bottom of that pan. I wasn't paying attention. Let me just check underneath there because I do not want to burn up the bottom of this pot. I try to be real careful with these caraway pots. And one of the things that I've learned when working with them is that it's best if I use my the single burner. The little small burner is best if I use that, because you know the caraway has that little metal plate on the bottom, and if I try to keep the heat on that metal plate and not like let it get out around the pot itself, it doesn't discolor, but sometimes it does, and I try to keep those pots clean. And this one is on off. Well, it would help if I turned it on. I'll put it on medium to start with. This is the one in the back, so that's this one. You know what? You better put it on full. This is the one that I scorched the other pot with. So now, we're going to put in a couple of cinnamon sticks, and we're going to put 2 in this one and 1 in that one, since this one has more in it. Now, where did that pot go? It might have fell in the drawer. So it looks like I'm out of cinnamon sticks now. I also like to put in just a little bit of nutmeg, just a tiny bit. And I gotta put some in each pot, even though, whew, that scared me. And then I have to put in some lemon juice, so let me get my tablespoon. And I'm supposed to put in 3 tablespoons of bottled lemon juice, so I'm going to put in, and you use bottled lemon juice, let me take it up. You use bottled lemon juice because the acidity is right with bottled lemon juice. When you use like fresh squeezed lemons, you can't always tell if the acidity is where it should be. So I'm going to put 1 in there. I might have more apples than you suggest, so maybe I'll put 2 in there and 2 in here. And then the sugar is to your taste. So I like my applesauce sweet. So I'm going to put in a cup of sugar. And I'll just put sugar in the one because I'm going to end up mixing them. I'm going to put in a cup of sugar in that one. Maybe I'll put in just a little in this one. Where's my spurtle? And I'll give this a good stir. And then I'll let it come to a simmer. I don't know if you guys saw me do that. So I put in 2 cinnamon sticks in this one, and I sprinkled in some nutmeg, and then cinnamon sticks were in here, and I put in the bottled lemon juice, and then I put in some sugar. And so now I'm going to give that a good stir and just kind of let it bubble for about 5 minutes. And then I will start to jar it up. And I'm not going to keep you guys on, well, maybe I better. I was going to say, because you guys wanted to see how I use this one. I'm going to let that just kind of bubble. I think a seed got in here somehow. Yes, there was an apple seed. Now, you season your applesauce to taste. If you don't like sugar in your applesauce, don't put any in. I like sugar in my applesauce. I like cinnamon in my applesauce, which is why I put it in. If that's not what you like, then don't add it. You know, I'm thinking this might have all been fine in one pot. Well, we'll just let it bubble and we'll see what happens. We'll just kind of let it. I'll let that bubble, and I'll get, now I got to get this ready because as you see, I got stuff a mess. So, and I need to process this applesauce for 15 minutes, I believe. Half-inch headspace and process for 15 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to get all of this out of the way. I'm going to leave one of these for when I bring it over, so I better leave one out. I'm going to just set this over on the table. And I'll put wax paper over it until I'm ready to deal with it. That way I don't have to worry about those little gnats we've been talking about earlier. bring this over. For those of you that were on yesterday, here are the jars of raspberry jam, and they all sealed nicely. This is how it looks. And then when I tip it a little bit, I can see there's a little movement in the jar that lets me know it's not too stiff. And I won't store these with the bands on. I just haven't gotten to where I'm putting them away yet, because I still have to label them. And I'll just do one real quick so you see what I do. So I'll put in the date, like so, and then this is raspberry jam. That way I know exactly what's in it, because you know, you look at this out, is that raspberry? Is it cranberry? Now you can tell it's not cranberry because it's got all the seeds in it. But is it a dark strawberry? Is it a strawberry cranberry? So oh, and then right here, there's a new sheriff in town when it comes to home preserving. This is from my friend Mary at Mary's Nest, and it is called The Modern Pioneer Pantry, a complete guide to preserving food. So she talks about water bath canning and pressure canning. I'm just learning how to do that. I'm not trying to show anybody how to do pressure canning yet. Fermenting, pickling, all kinds of stuff. So be sure and check it out. It is lovely. So be sure and get that. So I'll get that out of the way. I try to keep my cookbooks safe. I have to show you guys. So this one, I've only had it a few months, you know, because I had the old one, and then I was finally able to get my hands on the new edition, because, you know, I wasn't able to get the new edition, the 38th edition, the revised edition on Amazon. So I looked around and I found it at Menards, and one day I was working with it and I had it on the counter. I don't know what I did. I either threw a dish rag or something. Got it wet. I was so disgusted at myself for doing that. Got it wet. And speaking of dish towels, I need to bring over a couple more. Let me stir this though real quick, because you guys know I get to talking. It's looking good. And I can see, y'all can't see it fade. Okay. So let me get this all dried up. And then I will get out a fresh towel and be right back. I need some fresh towels. So I will definitely be washing kitchen linens today. Okay, let me get you a little closer. Straighten the camera up first of all. So Lisa semi-retired live. Let's see, Seagull. I don't know what that says. But Nina is saying hello. Pamela says, just discovered your channel, watching from the Virgin Islands. Oh, Pamela, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. I am canning applesauce. In case you guys are wondering what I'm doing, I'm canning applesauce, and I pretty much got everything ready. I got all my tools over there. I got my jars heated up, and they're waiting to go right there. And I got these 2 pots of applesauce on right here. And I'm going to put all of this into one pot now. Oh my goodness, the phone just fell over. It just fell out of the... it just fell out of the holder. Well, that's odd. Okay, I got it back in there. Sorry about that. Yes, sorry about that. It just fell out of the holder. Okay, so now let me let you guys see. So here's the applesauce right there. I had 2 pans of it going, but now I put it all in the one pan now. So I'll get this out, get it set in the sink. And I've been breaking all the rules about not leaving the camera. How that fell off, I have no idea. It's like the phone just fell off on its own and I wasn't even over there. So for those of you that are just joining me, I'm making applesauce. I've got some cinnamon sticks in. I've got some lemon juice. I've got a little nutmeg in it as well, and some sugar. Now I'm going to give it a taste to see if it's as sweet as I like. Because I like my applesauce to be a little sweet. It's good. Babe, let me let him taste it because he's the one that mostly eats it. If he wants more sugar, well, it's fine. I'll be right back. All right, see, it's fine. So I won't need to add any more sugar because he says it's fine. Back here you can see where he fried his fish. So now I'm just going to let this bubble and turn this back one off. So just let this bubble a few more minutes. And we've had people jump on and then come back because I have been taking a minute to get this done. I started out, I had already washed the apples. Let me move this way a little bit. I had already, let me close this pantry. I've been in and out here. I can't seem to keep those doors closed, but I had already washed the apples and had them ready to go. So what the people that came on early saw me do, they saw me cut the apples in chunks, put them in the pot to cook them, and then after they cooked down, they saw me put the apples through the food mill. And now you guys that are just jumping on is getting to see me put the ingredients into the applesauce. The sugar, the lemon juice, the cinnamon sticks, and a little bit of nutmeg. So we're going to let that bubble. The jars are ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put my lids onto warm water. And notice I said warm, not hot. So my new clean lids, you only use the lids one time. And I've got everything ready over there because I'll bring this pot over there and I'm ready to dry up. Let's get it good and hot. jars have been on for a while. They've just been perking away, just getting ready for us. Well, they're good and hot. I just want it to bubble a little bit more. Once it starts to bubble a bit more, then I'll get it out and put it in the jars. I just like for it to bubble a little bit. That way I know it's good and hot. Looks like it's about ready to start bubbling. So while we're waiting for that to bubble, you guys tell me how you guys are doing. So yes, Duncan Partier 6 donated $19.99 to my kitchen shearer fund, and I showed you the fried fish that hubby made because he freed up a burner for him to use. Jennifer asked if elevation affects canning, and yes, it does. And for those of you that just joined me, you need to get this book, the Balls Blue Book, the Guide to Preserving, because it tells you in there specifically like what your elevation is, how many minutes you need to add. I don't want to give that information because I don't know what elevation you are, and I always have to look myself anyway. So you want to be sure to do that. And then Ella's going to make some tomatoes, and let's see. So yeah, we've been having a lot of fun over here, a lot of fun. And I tell you, one of the reasons why I am doing these is, like I said, it's making season. And what I mean by that, it's time to make things with what's in season. So right now, apples are in season, so we're going to be making applesauce. Next week, I hope to make some cinnamon apples. Like, oh, that's what I forgot. So let me show you this. Where's my pot holder? Right here. So earlier today, oh, you know what? These aren't even hot. I forgot. I'm just so used to grabbing those when I go in here. So earlier today, I made some cinnamon apples, like, you know, the kind you put on pancakes, like if you go to a pancake house and you ask for cinnamon apples or something like that. So I made some of these. You can put them on pancakes, you can have them, you can eat them on the side, you can use them for dessert. So let me set these back in the oven real quick. But one of the things I'm trying to do is show my young homemakers that are on a stretch budget, or my young homemakers who may be on SNAP benefits, and with the changes coming in many states, not all, but in many states, one of the changes will be that you can't buy sugary drinks, snacks, and some treats, so maybe pies or things like that. We don't know for sure what. I did write to the SNAP benefit office to ask for them to clarify it, and they could not at that time because each state is doing something a little bit different. That is making changes. All of them are not. But I thought, well, you know what? Let me just begin to help them figure out what they can do differently. And me and Miss Leona are on a mission to help young homemakers and seasoned homemakers who are either one, on a stretched budget, or two, on SNAP benefits, who are going to have their budget even more stretched, or people who just want to know how to cut back a little bit with these crazy grocery prices. We are on a mission to show you how you can do some things differently. So one of the things that I'm trying to do on my channel, because someone had asked about desserts, is to show some desserts that you can make to replace those sugary snacks or pies that you might want to buy at Kroger. You can make some of that at home, and certainly those cinnamon apples that you can put on pancakes or on ice cream or different things like that. Or make your own apple pie, or make your own applesauce, and then have that as a side dish. And certainly dessert on Sunday is a way to help you do that. So that's what I'm trying to do. So, a few more bubbles. Let me stir it though, because I don't want it to scorch. So you notice with the thinner bottom pans, it bubbles a lot quicker and it scorches a lot easier. With this caraway cookware, it's a heavy bottom pan, and so I'm not having that problem with scorching or anything like that. I think I got a little piece of apple peel right there. There, let's get that out of here. Don't want that in my jar. But I can taste it to see how it's tasting, so. It's appealing. But the applesauce is good. So I think we're going to go ahead and get ready to get this out. Starting to bubble. So I'm going to go ahead and get this lid off. And again, notice I hold the lid away from me so that I don't get a face full of steam. In the meantime, my kitchen looks like I've dropped a bomb on it. I'm going to get the first jar out. I'm going to bring this lid sucker. Oh, before I take that over, we want to make sure we get the cinnamon sticks out. It's in there somewhere. There's 3 of them. There's another apple peel. Get the cinnamon sticks out. There's 3, so let's find the 3rd one. There it is. Little puppy wanted to hide. Okay, so we got all 3 cinnamon sticks out. And now we're going to take this over to the counter, and then I'll bring you. Okay. Now let's get you over here. So let's see, I got, sit you so that you can see the canner back there. And you need to be able to see down here. So I think, there we go. We'll put you right there. I think that'll work. So what I'll do is I'll let you see me putting it in the jars, and then when I get them all in there, I'll take you over so you can see them in the pot. Okay. I got all my goodies right over here. So half-inch headspace, which is just about there. And then I will take my debubbler, run it around the side of the jar. That looks good. Oh, and I forgot my vinegar. I forgot to get my vinegar out. I thought I had everything out. And it's inevitable that I forget something. Okay, so I got this vinegar. I'll pour a little vinegar in the cup. And let's see. I'm going to move this over just a little bit so that you can see more of what I'm doing. So I've already debubbled it. So now I'm going to take the vinegar and run it around the threads of the jar as well as the mouth of the jar. And then I will take my magnetic jar lid lifter and then I'm going to just grab the jar and take it over and put it in my pot. And let's see if I can make this a little better. Maybe if I bring it back a little bit, you guys can see a little better. Let's try that. Okay. There's a pot there. Okay. So now I'm going to get another jar out. Bring it over. Set it down. And these are 16-ounce jars. This scoop is about an 8-ounce scoop. So it'll probably take about 2 scoops to fill it. Just use around the jar, or should I say run the debubbler around the side of the jar just to make sure that now I'm going to take some vinegar, and I'm moving the paper towel as I go so that I'm not depositing that residue back on the rim. Clean that off. And these lids have been sitting in warm water, not hot water. Put the lid on. Jars are hot. Put it on just finger tight. We're not cranking it on. Squeeze the jar really tight. Take it over, put it back in the canner. and I'll get out another one. So when I'm using my cooktop canner, I got a little bit more moving around than I do just because it's not as close. And then my scoop can just like hook right there on the side. Oh shoot. I hit that, almost made a mess. Luckily I did not. But if anyone can, it'll be me. Okay. So now we're going to wipe the residue off of the bottle, or rather off the jar. Now I'm going to get a little bit of vinegar. There we go. Get that lid on, center it on the finger tight. Not cranked on, but just finger tight. I'll put it back over here. Breathe in. I thought I'd try bringing this over with this one, just because I was already over there with that tool, and it worked out okay. Now we have a 1/2 inch headspace, and it is important that you follow the headspace guidelines as directed. Now, why is that? Well, because there needs to be a vacuum created inside the jar, which means that air has to be expelled. So for that to happen, there's got to be the requisite amount of, oh, I didn't choose around. There's got to be the requisite amount of headspace in there. And this is just a tad bit shy. There we go. Woo, hot, hot, hot. Finger tight. Squeeze the jar tight as I take it back over. Want another one back. It's a little awkward, but it's working. I think I'm going to need more than 7 jars. Now, my canner only holds 7 jars at a time, which means that I'll have to prep more jars. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Again, debubble our jar. Try to releasing the bubbles up to the top. And then wipe the jars off. Get the residue off. Now we'll get the vinegar and wipe around the rim of the jar and the threads. Ooh. Okay, finger tight. Hold the jar tightly. In it goes. I'm gonna see if I can bring that up a little bit, and you can see me over there too, especially since you've already seen what I'm doing down here. Yeah, okay. I think I'm gonna have some more that will fit in there. We'll see. Getting this off the side of the jar. And applesauce, as you can see, it will go down, it will get on the jar. So that's why you debubble it first, then you wipe the threads and the rim, because you don't want any residue on there because it can affect the seal of the jar. Now I realize now that I moved over a little bit. Let me move down. There we go. That. Jar lids in the center. Finger tight. Grab the jar, hold it tightly. Return the water to the pot. And I'm still squeezing tightly. Set that down there. I might have enough in here for another jar, which means I'll probably just put some in the fridge and we can enjoy that one right away. I'll make some biscuits in the morning and hubby can have that with biscuits tomorrow. Oh, and then here I can just set that there. I think I got a little too much in that one. And let's zhuzh around it. I'm always in a hurry to wipe that rim because it's distracting. Now, we'll get that residue off of there. Vinegar. And this is going right there on the top, but there wasn't enough there. Let me put some more vinegar in that little container there. There we go. That's better. And I can already feel this jar is a little sticky. So once I'm all done and they come out, I'll wipe the jar down. But I wipe the jars down anyway. So, okay. So now, that's in the center. And we'll put this lid on. Finger tight. And this was the last one I had ready. So now I'm going to turn this heat up to high. I'll put the lid on, and when it comes to a full rolling boil, and that's a boil that can't be stirred down, I'll start the processing. It has to process for 15 minutes, and I'll set the timer on my microwave. But we got this much left. So what I'll do is I'll get a jar out of my pantry. I'll put it in here. It's a clean jar. And we'll have this in the morning. Delicious. So put a lid on it. Oh my. Yeah. Should have fallen out of there. Put some tape on that. So I was trying to get one of my leak-proof lids, using my ball lids, and I'll just put this lid on like that. And I'll sit this in the fridge, and we'll enjoy this in the morning for breakfast. So now, I got a lot to clean up. So, I've got the jars in the canner. I'm waiting for it to come to a full rolling boil. So it's trying to do that. So while it's doing that, I'm going to clean up this mess. I'll stick this in the fridge. I'll get things cleaned up. So if you want to hang out with me, while I clean, feel free. If you feel like you've seen enough because you saw how I did things yesterday, that's okay too. But I'm going to let that process for 15 minutes. Once it comes to a full rolling boil, then when the timer goes off, I'll take the lid off and I'll let it stand for 5 minutes with the lid off, and then I'll take them out and put them on the top. That's on top of the cutting board. And I'll let them sit for the next 12 to 24 hours, and then I'll check them tomorrow to see if they see it. So if you guys need to go, I understand. If you want to learn more about water bath canning, don't forget I've got my course, Yes You Can, A Beginner's Guide to Water Bath Canning. It's linked in the description box below. The people that have taken it have loved it. And those that have to go, I'll see you next time. Otherwise, for those of you that are going to stick with me while we wait for that to come out, I got some cleaning up to do. So let me just kind of turn you this way so you can see that. So So my towel that I'm going to use, I'm going to put over there. Let me get over here to the camera so that I can move you. Do you see all that mess over there? I got that to clean up now. I got all that to clean up. I think I got you in the wrong spot. There. Yeah, I got all this to clean up. So, I did put I'm going to sit on this stool right now. I'm just going to move it away so that I can get the thing. While it is cooling off a bit, so what can go in the dishwasher will. I've run the dishwasher anyway. That in the dishwasher. I got such a mess in here, so much to clean. It's like, okay, where do I start? And I think I'll start with this side. I always like to start over here. And I'll start with these large items just to get them out of the way. That can go in the dishwasher. That can go in the dishwasher. I don't think I'll put those two or that one. Kind of working and moving. So I'm going to get started with these pots. Now typically if the pots were all greasy or something like that, I wouldn't start with them, but they're not. They've just got applesauce on them. So it'll be easier for me to get these pots out. Then that'll just cut down on some of the clutter that's in here. And I can see I'm going to need to do a little work on the bottom of my pots. Probably tomorrow. Because this was getting just a little dark. You can see it. I'm going to work on that tomorrow. I'm going to let this caraway and that just sit in there for a second. Now this is a debubbler that I got a long time ago. I don't know, it came with some kit. And I don't use it anymore because it's not one that you guys can get. But it is quite nice because it's very long. So like if I'm doing a quart jar or something like that, it goes all the way down in there. I hear that water over there is really picking up. Oh, it's bubbling. Okay. Let me bring you over so you can see what a full rolling boil looks like. I've got a full rolling boil going on, so I want you to see that. That's a full rolling boil. That's a boil you cannot stir down. So, I will now set my timer for 15 minutes. And then while that's timing, I'll be cleaning up. So, let me put you back on the other side. Let's see, somebody else has joined us, so let's see what they've had to say. Green Jewel says, hi, Miss Denise. I just watched your video last night about how you got your husband's shirts white. I think you're great. You know what? Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been keeping house and making a home for a long time. Yeah, so can you guys see everything? I've been keeping house for a long time. We've been married 53 years? I had to think about it for a second. So because of that, I learned some things. And, when he was teaching school, his collared shirts had to be nice. And then when he retired and he was working as one of the red coats at the Coliseum, the older ushers that they take tickets and stuff like that, and it's usually retired guys. But he did that, and he enjoyed that for a while, but he had to wear white shirts. And I'm from the generation that they had the commercial, ring around the collar, ring around the collar. Well, it's like you did not want to have a ring around the collar, nor did you want to have dingy shirts. So I had to make sure that his shirts were nice. So now the one thing, like I was telling you guys earlier about this caraway cookware, and this is just baking soda, is that you got to be careful about getting the heating element off of this. If you get the heating element outside here, it will discolor your pot, and it is hard to get that discoloration off. So I really try hard to make sure that I don't get the heating element outside, and I try to keep these pots nice. So, these pots are not cheap. And because of that, I want to take good care of them. And I try to take good care of the things that I have so that they last for a while. And this is one of the ways that I do that. So while I'm cleaning it up, the processing has started. And that's just a way for me to kind of, do everything at one time. I just move from one stage on to the next. And some of the things that I use, they were large things, so they take up a lot of space. And then, of course, I got the sugar and cinnamon and brown sugars out. I don't know why I got that brown sugar out. I thought I was going to put the brown sugar. Oh, yes, I do. When I make those cinnamon apples, I put the brown sugar in that. So it just hasn't got put away yet. So, yeah. But this way, if you clean as you go, it just makes things a lot easier. Now, what do we have for dinner? I don't have a clue. I hadn't even thought about it. But looks like the TV's watching him right now. So, and he just had that big lunch of that fish, so he's probably not going to want much. but I'll make something. I think I've got a little rotisserie chicken, maybe a part of one in there. So we may have that. Or, you know what, I might do, maybe I'll put some rice in the rice pot. And we'll have some chicken and rice with that seasoning that I found on Island Vibes. Oh my gosh, that seasoning was so good. I'm going to make some of it up and put it in a jar. Kind of like I did this Leona's house seasoning. I'm going to call it Island Vibes house seasoning and have it ready to use when I want to season something really well. Because that stuff is really good. So that means that we rinse that as well. But as you can see, I'm making pretty good progress. I'm making good progress. I'm going to be ready to sit down though when I'm done. That's the fact. So we're going to have an easy dinner. So I'll do that rotisserie chicken that's left in the fridge. It's been in there a couple days, so I need to use it up. And I turned that turbo boil down just a little bit. I don't usually use that burner for that, but I turned it down just a little bit. Okay, there's that done. Let me move that. I don't want to get it wet. But I'm going to need it because remember I did scorch the bottom of this pan. So, and for those of you that just joined me and missed that, so when I was cooking down the apples, I put them in this pan. I divided them in half because I thought this pan wouldn't, whereas it would hold them all, I couldn't really cook them all well. So I just put half of them in here and got to talking, and look what happens. Scorched the bottom of the pan. So I immediately just poured them out into another pan. I didn't try to scrape them up or anything like that. As soon as I saw there was a scorch mark, I immediately just poured them out into another pan because I did not want any of that scorching to get through my apples. So I'm scraping up this at the bottom right now that I can get up. So that's probably going to do for now. And then I'm going to put some baking soda on it and let it sit. So I'll get the rest of it cleaned up. But that's the difference in using a heavy bottom pot. So when they tell you to use a heavy bottom pot, that's what they mean. Now, I knew this was a thin bottom pot, but I had planned to keep an eye on it. I had planned to keep an eye on it. And I got to talking like I do sometimes. And just that one little second, it's scorched. So now I'm going to put this baking soda on it, like a little baking soda paste. And I'm going to let this sit for about an hour, and then I'll scrub that out. So I'll just set this over here for now. And then this was what I had underneath my titanium cutting board. It's now dry. I can put it away. And I can get this sugar and this sugar put away. I was asking myself, how did that cabinet door get open again? And I knew I had closed them up. I'll get this in the wash. I'll get this put over here where I can get at it. I'll get these things put away. And let's see, oh, these are the cinnamon sticks. They can go in the trash. So I think I guessed pretty good when I was trying to guess how much I would need, how many jars I might make. I thought maybe 7 jars, 6 or 7. It made 7.5, so that was pretty good guessing. So I'm glad about that. So I can get this all cleaned up. Put that in there. Got my Clorox cleanup to use when I'm all done. But when I actually get ready to take those out, I'm going to take them out over here. So I'm going to put that down there so I've got a little bit more room to work. Because it won't make sense for me to take them out over there and then bring them all the way over here. I'm just going to take them out over there and let them sit on the counter there. So, now these spurtles don't go in the dishwasher. The instructions say hand wash only. So that's what I do. So I'll get them hand washed, and then I have a little jar that they fit in, like one of those little utensil jars that allows them to air dry. So, and I love them. Miss Leona was the first person that I saw using those, and I was like, what are those? And how do they work? And I bought some, and I love them. I'm like, well, where have these been all my life? I really like them. So, oh, this is how I'm going to put my things on. Oh, well, I'll have to get another one. That other towel I had out is wet. I've been going through a lot of dish towels today, so needless to say, when I'm all done, I'll be running a load of kitchen linens. And I usually do that on Monday, but sometimes I'll do it on Sunday, depending on what's what. And especially since he had fish to process today, it makes sense to do it today. Because I've got the towel that he used for fish after he processed them. Not before, but after. So by the time he finished processing them, then they were food. And so I have those towels as well as all of these other towels to do. So for those of you that have been hanging in here from the beginning, I want to thank you. It has been fun. I enjoy having someone along when I'm working. And it's got about 2.5 more minutes for it to process. And then 5 minutes for it to stand. And then we'll get them out of the pot. So the whole purpose behind these 2 live streams was to kind of let you know how easy it is to do water bath canning. Now this applesauce that I made today, if you did not want to water bath can it, you could put it in freezer containers and you could put it in the freezer and then have some out, you know, that you're going to be using in your, that you're going to use right away. Put some in the fridge. It'll be good in the refrigerator for 2 or 3 days. And then also put the rest in the freezer. Then that way, you don't have to worry about water bath canning. The big thing, though, is to make sure that you label it and mark it. And speaking of that, I'll get out the raspberry jam that we made yesterday. It's over there on the table. And I will mark that. Label it so that you see how that's done. We can do that while it's standing, while that over there is standing. So, is. I had a lot of stuff out. My husband says I can really wreck a kitchen. He's like, I can wreck a kitchen in minutes, is what he says. And I think he happens to be right. So I have had a lot of stuff out today. Certainly a lot of stuff out today. Now this is not where I normally keep these canning implements, but this is where they're going to go right now. I know where they are. And once I'm all done and I put the canning pot away, okay, so there's my 15 minutes. So now I'm going to turn the water off and take the lid off. All right, so I got the lid off and I got the water turned off. So it's what we call, I'm letting it stand. So what that means is I'm just letting it just sit there, letting the water cool down, letting it just kind of turn down a little bit. And then I'll get over there and get the jars out. Now the interesting thing about this canner is that with the rack that it's in, you might be able to just kind of reach in and just lift the rack out and all the jars come out at once. However, the danger of that is that you might burn yourself because you know there's quite a bit of steam coming up out of there, and if you've got the right kind of hot pads, maybe that'll work. So I might try that just so. We'll see. That pot is kind of tall, so I really have to lift the jars up high when I lift them up one at a time. The nice thing about putting everything away and cleaning up as you go is that when you're done, it's all cleaned up. It's all cleaned up. So I like to do that. I like to try to get things put away as much as possible, and doing this while it's standing is helpful. Now, let this one sit here in the sink with the baking soda in it. Now I'll clean it up in a little bit after it sits for an hour. I get this put away. And this goes in the other room. I'm just going to let this sit over here. Well, no, because I'm going to be working over there. I'm just going to let it sit there on the counter for now. And I'll just wipe this all up. And I'll be using this over here. That right there. This baking soda, all that is put away. So let me bring the jam over and show you guys, for those of you who missed it. For those of you that are just joining me, and let me see who's here, because I know a lot of people had stuff to say. Okay. So La Nina, I'm sorry that I don't speak Spanish, so I can't understand what you're saying. But I hope you're enjoying me making applesauce. I'm hoping I made it clear enough that people can do it. Green Jewel, she says she just watched my last video last night about white church, but I always say that one. Lakeland Designs, hi Miss Denise, love the pretty green shade of your kitchen. I can't remember what it's called, but I got it at like Menards, no, Lowe's. I got that at Lowe's. It was one of those Martha Stewart colors. And thank you for sharing this. I've never made applesauce before, and I'm so excited. Applesauce is the easiest thing you can make because you don't have to water bath can it. You can freeze it. Or you can make enough for your family that's just going to last for 2 or 3 days and eat it and enjoy it that way. But it's nice to have it canned because then you can use it later. And then Bashu is back. She missed a lot, but, well, you know what though, Bashu? You've canned enough that you know. So right now I've got all the jars in the canner and they're just standing for 5 minutes and I'm getting ready to show them how to mark these and I'm going to get those jars out. So yeah, so I'm still on. No, so I've been just working through step by step. So I think I'm going to put this, yeah. So let me just tip the camera down a little bit so you guys can see this. So yesterday when I was on, I made raspberry jam. And it's all done and ready to go. I'm ready for me to put away. See, the lids are nice and firm, but I need to label it. You want to make sure you label your jam. So 9, I made this yesterday, and it's raspberry jam. This is a Sharpie fine point, and it does a great job. Remember, when you put your jars away, you don't stack them on top of each other. No stacking. You can keep them in the box they came in, but no stacking. That can cause the seal to dislodge, and you may not know it, and you may, and you may end up with an artificial seal, and then you go to open it, and bam, there's a problem. So you don't stack the jars, and you don't store the jars with the bands on. So yeah, Bashu, you didn't miss much because I just kept working. I cleaned the kitchen up. I got the jars in the applesauce in the jars, all things that you saw me do yesterday when I did the raspberry jam. And I'm just showing them how to make sure that they label their jars once they're done. I left these sit on the counter for 24 hours, and so now that I know they're perfectly sealed, I can move them, but I'm going to take care of those other things first. And I wanted the people to see the entire process, so that's why I'm still on. Otherwise, I would have just kept working, but I would have turned it off. But since I have people here to visit and chat with, because I like to have company while I work, I thought, why not just stay on so they can see the whole process. I can't remember yesterday who it was that asked if I would do some canning in like the regular canner, not the electric one, but like, you know, the countertop that most people might have. And so that's why I'm here today doing these. So now, this is the raspberry jam that I did yesterday. It truly tastes delicious, because I had a little cup that I had left in the fridge. Now I'm going to just sit these over here out of the way, and I'm going to lift the phone up, and I'm going to bring you around. You know what, Bashu? You really should make a habit of labeling your jars, because I tell you what, the time may come when you'll be like, okay, is this strawberry? Is this cranberry? Or what is this? So you always want to make sure you label it. So now let me make sure I can get you guys where you can see the So you get them out of here and then take them over here. I might have to put you back a little further. So if I get them out of here, I know what, I'll just bring this here. Okay. And I'll put this here. Okay. So now I am ready to get them out. They stood for 5 minutes. So now I'm going to take my jar lifter, and you do want to make sure you've got a jar lifter because it's just safest. I'm going to take my jar lifter. Bring them straight up and set them down. Don't tip them. Don't worry about the water on top. Straight up, clear your pot, and set them down. I heard that one pop. Now this one is a little smaller, so I want to make sure I've got enough room. Get them all on there. Okay. So I think you guys should be able to see what I'm doing. So now I'm bringing them up. That one pop, setting them down. When I bring them up, I bring them straight out. I squeeze the jar real tight so that it doesn't drop. You guys can hear that pop. It's popping. This is the last one. Let me get a towel for that one. That one's a little smaller than the one I normally use, but I still got that other one over there, so. Yeah. There we go. So there we go. So now I'm going to let these sit on the counter for the next 12 to 24 hours. There's the 7 jars. You can see there's a little water on top. Some of them have become like, you know, the little dimple on top has been sucked in, but they're all not. I'm just going to let them sit there, and tomorrow I'll check them. And I showed you how to check them because when I check the raspberry jam, that's exactly what I'll do. I'll tap the top, and if it's concave, and you know, I mean, if it's concave, it's sucked in the center. And then if I can lift the jar by just the lid, and then I'm good to go. So, Bastua's going to make dinner soon. On the menu is going to be roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and either spinach, sauteed spinach, or fried corn. Sounds good to me. I'm going to have some rotisserie chicken leftovers. I'm going to make some rice, and I'm going to use that Island Vibes spice to hook it up. So, we are done. So these jars have processed for 15 minutes, and then they stood for 5 minutes, and now they're here. They're going to stand on the counter 12 to 24 hours, and I'm going to sit down. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate having company when I'm working. It's like having my sister sitting in here with me, and I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.